Cyberpunk 2077, the absolute trash state that it released in, versus the current state that it is in, by Big Dan Gaming, and he never disappoints with anything Starfield or Cyberpunk related. Absolute a legend.
Cyberpunk 2077 is about to have its third anniversary, and the game has changed tremendously since its dumpster fire launch in 2020. CDPR has patched Cyberpunk numerous times since then and introduced a ton of different changes into the game. And for players like myself, who've been playing Cyberpunk since day one, there are a lot of things, both good and bad, that just ain't the way they used to be. In this video, we're going to explore 10 things that only day one Cyberpunk players will remember. This won't merely be a documentation of all the game-breaking bugs, but massive reworks to gameplay and story content as well. So buckle up.
Yeah, again, the Cyberpunk redemption story is just something else, okay? And again, as always, Cyberpunk did have a tremendously amazing redemption, but let's be real. Starfield helped it a lot, because a lot of people were disappointed and found Cyberpunk as a worthy attempt to quell the misfortunate anger.
Grab some iced coffee, and let's dive into the world of Night City as it used to be in 2020 and 2021. Hey guys, I'd like to talk to you about this game that I've been diving into that's packed with tons of content.
Legends.
Dive into this free...
Use his code if you want. I can't say anything bad about Raid because they sponsor me also sometimes. It is what it is.
Number 1. The Crowbcat video. Cyberpunk 2077's game-breaking bugs and missing gameplay features from the December 2020 release.
I have not ever seen this. That is amazing. Oh my god, the Vice City vibes, boys. The absolute Vice City vibers.
Features from the December 2020 release are incredibly...
Also, a question, does Cyberpunk 2077 have trucks? I don't think I have ever seen anyone drive an actual, like, you know, gas or oil truck or whatever. Do they not exist in the future?
Well documented, and perhaps the best or most well-known video is a compilation released by Crowbcat shortly after launch. Overpromise, sell, underdeliver racked up millions of views, pairing up pre-release marketing statements from CDPR and content creators with visual representations of the game's busted state.
Check this out.
This is great. T-posing a classic, boy.
I still like to go back and revisit this classic from time to time to have a laugh and remind myself how far the game has come in the last 3 years. Number 2, the original Mr. Hands. Pacifica's #1 fixer received an expanded role in the Phantom Liberty expansion and 2.0 update. We originally never had the chance to meet Hands in the base game, as we were only resigned to phone calls with his face obscured in the shadows of the flickering hollow. But if you played Cyberpunk before...
Well, yeah, that's why you call him Mr. Hands, because you only see the hands. It makes perfect sense if you don't think about it.
Or the 2.0 update, you will certainly have noticed that Mr. Hands got a big overhaul, as CDPR replaced the voice actor and changed the overall look of Hands' character model. These changes weren't just resigned to the DLC, however, as CDPR re-recorded Hands' voice lines from the base game.
So, if you were in Cyberpunk 2077 dystopian era, and you had a visibly robotic hand, would you masturbate? I mean, I probably would not, because that would seem awkward. I mean, a lot of things would seem awkward, honestly, if you start to replace body parts. Now, I know, technically, if, you know, everyone gets accustomed to it and blah, 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 then it's fine, but at the same time, still no. Still giant no. You know what's really popular in science fiction? It's the idea of technology. You know what's really forgotten in science fiction at this point? Because everyone's like, oh, robotic future and whatnot. But the reality is, for any technology that can wipe out existence or whatever, you have a theoretical equivalent in biological evolution. That's the thing. Yeah, I know some of you are like, well, that's stupid. But yes, every process physics can accomplish is a natural process that can be accomplished in nature by its own, which means there is a probably flesh and blood way of accomplishing this process. And we always forget about it. No one's talking about what was the last game that actually delved into biological future. Scorn? That one? I think that's the one. And yeah, that thing's creepy. But I would argue that, this thing is also creepy. Like, you have metallic hands, you're kissing a woman and you're not actually kissing her, you're just kissing something that's kind of feels like it. I don't know. It's like the first time you ever kiss a woman who has fake teeth. Who has the replacement teeth thing and made her smile perfect. It feels wrong. It feels like something is off. It definitely always feels like something is off for the first time.
Game as well for continuity's sake. Let's see how much Hands has changed.
V in Dogtown. My. Yet again with my favorite merc this side of the Sierra Nevadas.
Now that sounded like my third wife every time she wanted
Close.
a new purse. Truly? Want to sell something to the VDBs? Trust me, they don't want it, they don't need it. They're isolated, insulated, they got their own contracts, tech, networks. But have it your way.
It is unclear why CDPR decided to switch out the voice actor for this character. Perhaps the original VA was unavailable, or
Because it's probably because the whole story of Liberty City, Liberty City required more serious things. Okay, even Johnny Silverhand became no longer was just a gag character. He was like a, I don't know, what do you call it? A truth character, something that sets things in perspective, So a jokish, clownish sounding Mr. Hands does not work, obviously.
or perhaps it was a creative decision. As of yet, the studio hasn't made any official comments on the decision to change Mr. Hands. Maybe I'm just resistant to change, but I kinda missed OG Mr. Hands. He had a distinct personality to his voice that I prefer to the 2.0 version. Number 3. River's awkward family photo. Many people know about the massive changes to combat and skills that were introduced in Cyberpunk's 2.0 update, but CDPR also made some stealthy changes to other content in the game that wasn't specifically called out in the patch.
Oh, look at those! Look at that! Yeah, these textures for the food are bad.
Patch notes. One of these changes involved a particularly awkward family photo we receive in a text message from River. Sometime after completing River's personal quest, The Hunt, we would receive a photo message from River visiting Randy in the hospital, assuming he was sick.
I'm dead. Why would you ever even let someone like that in the hospital? He's not here for a family photo. He's here to remove a family photo from existence, okay? He has alternative plans. Bruh, this is not awkward. This is who let this guy in, and he's gonna start doing bad things.
Saved from Edgewood Farm. And this photo became a bit of a meme in the Cyberpunk community, owing to the awkward and stilted poses of the characters and the oddly realistic-looking teddy bear in the foreground of the frame.
True.
The image kind of reminds me of Tally's original photo in Mass Effect 3, which was basically a stock photo that BioWare photoshopped to look like a Quarian. Well, now CDPR has revamped this photograph and replaced it with a less awkward composition.
I mean, this does not look less awkward in my opinion. I don't know about you, but yeah, this does not. And what is this? Is this a boy or is this a girl? I have questions. Okay, this does not look a lot better. Not gonna lie, Chief.
In the 2.0 update. Here is a side-by-side comparison of the two images. While I like what they've done,
one's comedy, the other one is awkward comedy.
With the new photo, I must admit I kind of missed the original. I always got a big laugh anytime I saw it, so I'm kind of sad it's been replaced. But never fear, the awkward Ward family photo will always live on in the memes. Number 4, glitched out elevator during the heist. One particularly funny bug from the launch version of Cyberpunk 2077 happened during the Heist. As Jackie and V fight their way through Arasaka goons to escape the hotel, there was one section where you need to grab an elevator access key from an elite soldier. In the release version of the game, this soldier would make his entrance through an elevator, but he would kinda just glitch out and get stuck in the elevator instead of fighting you. So in order to progress, you just have to pump a bunch of bullets into the elevator, hoping you'd hit the soldier while he was glitching in and out of the screen. What was supposed to be a slightly more challenging fight ended up getting turned into a complete joke, which added more fuel to the Cyberpunk bad fire. Thankfully, this bug was resolved in one of the earliest patches, so players no longer have to worry about the glitchy elite blocking progress during the heist. Number 5. No Transmog. Cyberpunk's problems at release weren't just the result of bugs, but missing—
Oh, come on. Looking at a clown at the release of Cyberpunk was a joy, okay? I'm not gonna lie. If you're wearing some kind of thing that's around your neck like this and you're gonna tell me, oh, but I don't look like a clown, I have questions. And none of these questions are actually questions. They're more like statements like, no, you still look like a clown. Are you kidding me? The whole Cyberpunk fashion thing is beyond clownhood. The Met Gala can't compare, and it's asking Cyberpunk for inspiration at this moment, considering how bad it is.
Quality of life gameplay features and mechanics as well. One thing that many players were asking for was Transmog for armor and outfits. At release, players would end up cobbling together the most ridiculous hodgepodge outfits in order to min-max their stats. But CDPR would eventually rectify this by adding in preset outfits during the Edgerunners update last fall, nearly 2 years after the game's initial release. Now players can simply go to V's apartment and create preset outfits that will override whatever you are wearing. CDPR would further overhaul clothing by removing armor stats in the 2.0 update. Now players gain armor mostly from cyberware, which makes—
yeah, people were really happy about that.
Clothing mostly aesthetic, although some pieces still have passive stat bonuses. With this change and the outfit presets, players should never have to sacrifice style for substance, unless of course they want to. Number—
actually, this is exactly what I mean. Jackets like this. What the hell is this supposed to be on your arm? What is that, a battery pack? Aren't you a whole walking battery at this point anyway? Why do you need a battery pack? Like, what is this? You look like a clown anyway.
Number 6, crafting overhaul. Back in my day, we had to craft items one at a time in Cyberpunk 2077. Kids these days don't know how easy they got it. Yeah, that basically sums it up. There was no option for batch crafting items in the release version of the game. I feel like this was
That's so funny and stupid, though.
Massive oversight that just displayed how undercooked Cyberpunk was at launch.
Man, that's so funny and
but they would thankfully add it in during a later patch. Number 7, auto-answering phone calls. One of the most annoying things about Cyberpunk at release is that you couldn't reject phone calls. And you get a lot of phone calls in this game.
Even GTA Vice City. I think Vice City was the first one where you could just ignore a phone call. I think that's how it happened. I'm not sure, but, one of the GTAs had it where you can finally ignore phone calls. And I'm not talking about Nico, let's go bowling. No one wants to talk about that, okay? Let's just forget about it, okay? But I think it was in Vice City. I love the fact that when you're in Vice City and you answer a phone call, you can sprint and the top of your body is like completely stationary and you're like some kind of ostrich or mountain cougar that's running after its prey. When the head doesn't move like this, but the body's like going all over because that's how they work. That's some crazy stuff. I absolutely love it. It's hilarious.
Calls from fixers, your companions, and main story NPCs would constantly pop up wherever you were in the world. And sometimes these calls would interrupt or layer over important story moments. I distinctly remember getting some random phone call while my half-dying character dragged herself through the Pistis Sophia Hotel.
Half-dying character. Hey, V, you remember that bowling setup? Yeah, be there or die. I guess die it is. Oh, that's good, man. I did not even know that's a thing.
Interrupting some of the important character dialogue with Johnny during this section.
Couldn't just leave you there, could I? Spoke with her. Not in person, but we spoke. You know who I'm talking about.
Oh, this is good.
She contacted me too.
The only thing that would ever interrupt these phone calls was if you got into combat. In that case, V would say a canned line like, "Hey, a little busy right now," and
GTA 5 did it actually really, really well. Because when you got the well, everyone has played GTA 5, right? And expecting GTA 6, obviously. But in GTA 5, they did it really well. I was so happy when I was playing the campaign. So, you go do a mission, and you're with some other character. For example, I don't know, you're driving with Franklin. And the two characters, Michael and Franklin, are having a conversation. And then you do the obvious thing, right, while driving. Accidentally crash into 17 different cars and the car blows up. Well, they resume the conversation slightly before they lift off when you get into the car again. And that's amazing. Every time you bump into something, it's like, hey, watch where you're going, and then they just resume the conversation. It was really, really well done. I really liked it.
and then hang up so that you could fight off the enemies, only to immediately resume the call right after they were all dead. CDPR would eventually add in the option to reject phone calls. In this case, it will either leave a notification to call them back for important story quests, or otherwise you'll just get a follow-up text from the character in the case of most side quests. As someone who never answers phone calls IRL, I feel seen by this update. Number 8. Jotaro Shobu's quest changes. Now, I'm not 100% sure if this one is a legitimate change.
Painful. You can just blatantly see that this is on console. Because the bullets are going everywhere, okay? Also, he has 0 bullets?
Or just a bug, but I want to...
Yeah, he has 0 bullets, nice. Yeah, but you could blatantly see that this is on console because half the ammo just went to the wrong thing. And man, Dan's not bringing it up, but man, PC had bugs. PC had issues, right, when it came to Cyberpunk on release. Oh, but console was a different beast. Console was just completely the Wild West. The bugs that people obviously experienced on console were insurmountably out of this world compared to PC, okay? If a PC had X bug, console had X50 bug. It was wild. It was great. But then again, hey, if you want to be a gamer, if you want to have fun playing shit, don't play it on a console. Even the current next generation console, well, I say next generation, but even the next generation console that PlayStation or Xbox try to shit out in 5 years or whatever, is gonna be the equivalent of a PC from 10 years back in the past. It's really bad always, and you know. If you want to avoid stuff like that, just don't use a console. It's not really complicated. But consoles are going to always have more bugs. It is what it is. If you can buy a PC, buy a PC. The Xbox Game Pass is a money waste anyway, and most people lose money and don't save anything. So, you know, stop using consoles.
I wanted to include it nonetheless. But let me back up a minute and explain. One side gig that we received from Regina Jones involves taking out a shady Tiger Claw crime lord named Jotaro Shobu in Watson. There were two potential objectives for this quest. You could either kill Jotaro, which would end the quest, or if you were looking to go the extra mile, you could incapacitate him. And then you would have to somehow sneak his knocked out body out of the club and put him in the trunk of a car. This objective was super annoying because while you could stealthily sneak into the club through the balcony, there wasn't really a way to sneak him out without alerting all the guards. You couldn't dump his body over the railing, so you'd have to just take him down the stairs through the building. This basically made a full stealth run of the mission impossible unless you snuck through and knocked out every single NPC before bringing Jotaro out of the building. But as of the 2.0 update, this quest just ends whether you KO or kill him. You no longer have to bring his body out of the building. However, it's still unclear if this is a legit intentional change or if the quest is bugged. Some players reported they still got the objective to bring him to the car, but if those players are on old-gen consoles, then they wouldn't have the 2.0 update. So I don't know if this is the real deal here.
Oh yeah, old-gen consoles, because Cyberpunk needed to do this. If they wanted to do the graphics thing and make the graphics really good, because currently Cyberpunk is one of the better-looking games out there, if not the best-looking game out there, if we're being completely real. And, well, you know, it is what it is. Old consoles did not get the update because they graphically can't support it. You can't play it on an older console. It's not gonna run even at minimum settings or something like that, as much as I understand. I could be wrong, but again, consoles bad. And the faster we get rid of consoles, the better it is for gaming.
I was able to complete the quest without hauling his body out, even when Jotaro was just knocked out. So, I don't know, man. Number 9. Awful driving mechanics. In 2020, there were a lot more hit and runs and vehicular crimes in Night City, owing to the wonky driving mechanics at release. I don't know if it was just the steering sensitivity or physics engine, but something about Cyberpunk cars were just difficult to handle. CDPR would spend a lot of time revamping and tuning the driving mechanics, and now cars are much easier to handle and drive throughout the city. I still end up clipping the odd civilian here and there, but it's definitely a huge improvement to the original version. Number 10. Rip Cold...
What do you mean? That when I was playing GTA, I mean, I always clipped the, of someone here and there. It was unavoidable, because I tried to do it, obviously.
Blood. Most of the changes to the skill system added in the 2.0 update were welcomed by players, but one change that irked some of us was the removal of the Cold Blood perk from the Cool Tree. Basically, what Cold Blood did was provide a buff to movement speed whenever you performed a takedown. This effect could stack, and when you invested in associated buffs like Merciless and Defensive Clothing, you could essentially buff all your damage and armor while Cold Blood was active. It was incredibly fun, but really imbalanced, so I suspect that is why it's no longer in the game. Now you can obtain similar buffs to damage, armor, movement speed, etc. with some of the new perks, but they all work separately and don't stack onto this Cold Blood mechanic in the same way anymore. So rip Cold Blood. You are gone, but not forgotten.
It
so
happens,
there you have
dude.
it. 10 things only day 1 Cyberpunk.
Hey, you need to nerf things like this, because people are going to always use the most overpowered thing. And if the most overpowered thing literally makes 99.9% of the other game useless, it is what it is. It probably has to go. At least this is not a Diablo 4 situation where Diablo 4 devs are constantly nerfing things that people find fun, even though there's no point in nerfing them because it doesn't affect the game. But it does need to happen in some situations.
Players will remember. Are there any changes or things that I missed from the original release or old patches?
Probably not. Well, that was it. That was Big Dan Gaming. Good video. Man, Cyberpunk has went a long way. There's so many small details that they have changed. It's absolutely crazy. Like, people complain about the fact that there's some kind of quest that's not fun enough. Maybe they fixed it. Who honestly knows, right? It's absolutely crazy. Anyway, this was Quizzer Sid saying thanks for watching. Subscribe, have the other thing. Have a nice day. Bye-bye.